up. The Hill is out today with a list of 5 Senate seats most likely to flip next year. They include Virginia, Montana, Ohio, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. Joe Manchin, in a way, Julia, is the wild card here.
Yeah, he absolutely is the wild card, and we don't know what he's going to do, and we don't know if he's running for re-election in West Virginia or if he's going to run for president. Last week, he put out a statement after Governor Jim Justice announced, essentially saying, actually, quote unquote, saying, look, whatever race I enter. So that's got a lot of people on their toes as to what he's going to do. But, you know, if Joe Manchin were to lean towards the Senate race, that's going to be very tough for him. West Virginia is already a red state. He's already, he's definitely a known entity there, but it's going to be difficult, I think, for any Democrat, even a conservative Democrat at that point, to win re-election there.
Mo, you think about this in terms of we look at a couple of these states. The most interesting ones, right, are West Virginia and Montana, where you had Trump won in 2016, Trump won in 2020 by big double-digit margins. But there's a Democratic senator from those states that won in 2018, which sort of defies sort of conventional political wisdom. Are we at the end of having states that have mixed top-tier statewide candidates?
I don't think necessarily so. And if you look at West Virginia, it's a good example, right? The last time Joe Manchin ran in a presidential year, right, 2012, he won by, what did we say, about 24 points. On the same ballot, Mitt Romney defeated Barack Obama in West Virginia by about 27 points. So candidates are going to matter, and Joe Manchin has a long history with the people of West Virginia. He has played himself up to be a nonpartisan in many ways. This is going to be a tough race for him. Justice is a very formidable candidate, but I think West Virginia could be an example. Montana could be an example of Republicans winning big at the presidential, but the relationship that these guys have, if they run for re-election, could carry them in the general.
I think Ohio is also an example of that as well. Sherrod Brown is the last statewide elected Democrat in Ohio. He is, you know, I wouldn't say he's as nonpartisan as a Joe Biden. He is very much that blue-collar sort of Democrat in Ohio. He has a really well-known brand. He's outperformed other Democrats at the top of the ballot who have run there. So it's going to be a big test for him. And I will say this, Tim Ryan, who ran for Senate in Ohio last year, lost to Senator J.D. Vance. Look, he lost, but he ran a really good campaign. Lost maybe by 6 points or so. I think Sherrod Brown is a stronger candidate than that, so he's one to watch.
But, you know, Ohio is a swing state. West Virginia and Montana are not. Democrats are so lucky they have Democrats in these states, and it's worth saying how many conservatives there are there. They're sort of, you know, they tend to be bashed by progressives. They stand in the way of policy progress a lot of times. But if you did not have these people, you would certainly have a Republican. And, you know, that's not going to change anytime soon, whether Democrats primary them or not.
Yeah, I certainly wish we had more time to talk about Arizona, but unfortunately we don't. So coming up, the Hunter Biden problem.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.